life is shit. In the first scene, we see a person on top of a building, which is a school. Students enter and leave the building, while this person, disillusioned, thinks that the time has come to put an end to this shitty little game. About to jump, he grabs the railing and remembers when he was called useless, even by his own parents. These adoptive parents actually kicked him to the ground and cursed at him because he didn't clean the floor properly. He faces his father, who gets even angrier, asking him how he dares to look at him like that. The father kicks him, saying that he is useless, that he should just do his job properly. He demands gratitude because it was they who brought him up, since his real parents are dead. Feeling useless, the MC goes into a bedroom, knocking over cans of soda on the floor. He blames himself. "It was my fault. I dropped it. I'm not nice to you. I gave you the chance to do something worthwhile, but you're just incompetent." He recalls his older brother's rejection and, back at school, during class time, he sits at his desk, which is full of offensive words, as well as a vase of flowers that symbolizes the constant bullying he suffers. Everyone says he's already dead inside, he just doesn't know it yet. When the teacher enters the room and sees the scene, he's shocked to think that it was the MC himself who did that to the table. The teacher fights with him, and the MC thinks that the school is shit. Later, at break time, he is thrown against a cupboard, while some delinquents tease him, saying that he should have brought money. He prepares to react, but the usual words echo in his mind. "You're incompetent. You can't do anything." He gives up, doesn't react, just takes it without changing his expression. The people around him do nothing. He thinks, life is shit. Everyone sucks, but I'm worse than all of them. His cell phone falls out of his pocket and, when he tries to pick it up, one of the attackers steps on it, breaking it completely. He makes fun of it, saying, "Sorry, my foot slipped," and continues stepping on it. Just as he's about to step on the MC's head, someone intervenes. It's Nichi Toya, the top scorer on the Western-style archery team, who recently won a national tournament. The girls sigh for him, while the attackers look on in shock. Nichi holds one of them by the shoulder, who feels the force of the touch. When another tries to attack him with a baseball bat, Nichi knocks him down with a punch. He didn't want to help, but says, "Seeing this here in the middle of the school is so unpleasant. Why don't you leave soon, huh?" The bullies leave and Nichi helps the MC up. "Man, you're dead inside. At least try to fight back." They do it because they know they can do whatever they want to you. "You don't do anything. Can you really say you're living like this?" The MC picks up his broken cell phone and quietly replies, "Don't bother, you don't know anything about my life." Nichi, intrigued, thinks, it's strange. After being beaten up so much, he's still standing. It looks like he's unconsciously dodged a few blows, or am I hallucinating? We're not in a teen movie. We're back to the opening scene. The MC is at the top of the school watching the happy people while feeling hopeless. He looks at his broken cell phone and thinks, this is where it all ends. I'm tired of living with this pain. I'm going to put an end to this shitty little game. He opens his arms, ready to fall, when something strange happens. A summoning circle appears in the sky, firing binary code beams. All the students' cell phones start acting strangely, sparking and shocking people. Confused, everyone looks up at the sky, where lightning and storms are appearing, despite the fine weather. The MC hears screams from below and realizes that something is coming out of the mobiles. The binary codes begin to transform into monstrous figures. Goblins, dragons, giant centipedes, orcs, trolls, and other creatures. Chaos takes over the school. Monsters chase the students, and blood starts spurting everywhere. The MC observes everything without reaction, watching people die around him. While the massacre was going on, it seemed that Rikudo was safe, since his cell phone wasn't working. While he remained unharmed, down below, horrible things were happening. People cried out for their lives, while the monsters gloated over the carnage they were promoting. What the hell is going on down there? He wondered. It was explained that hordes of monsters suddenly appeared all over the world. All of society was destroyed in an instant, and the population was reduced to a tenth of what it was before, meaning that only 10% of people survived. The origin of this cataclysm remained mysterious until a group managed to uncover the cause. At first, only one fact was known. The monsters appeared thanks to people's smartphones. In the world that followed, the survivors gave this event a name, Judgment Day. This was the reality. Monsters that had previously only existed in fantasies and fictions were abruptly killing people, one after the other. Rikudo, confused, thought, I think I'm hallucinating. I've already jumped from here. I'm already dead. This is hell for sure. He believed that his death had been quick. We then see goblins abusing girls, spiders wrapping people in cocoons, and slimes melting people with acid. What kind of disgrace is this? All the people who hurt me, who mistreated me, were trash. And now, are you enjoying this? He thought. You've made a fool of me all this time. I think you deserve to die. Now you can suffer everything I suffered. However, he began to realize that some of the people who were dying hadn't done anything bad to him. The creatures were getting stronger and stronger, while Rikudo was still trying to understand what was going on. Shit, what's going on? How long am I going to dream after I die? My life has always been shit. My parents are gone, the people around me were shit, and I had a shit brother. But it doesn't matter. None of that matters to me. It's not nice to see people dying like that in front of you. I don't want this dream anymore. Let me wake up soon, he begged. Suddenly, someone breaks down the terrace door. Behind him, a goblin approaches, holding a cleaver in one hand and a severed woman's head in the other. Is this really a dream? No, I'm sure it's not, Rikudo thinks as the goblin advances towards him. His first reflex is to dodge the blow, but he ends up being scratched in the face and falls to the ground, weak, trying to get up. Fear overwhelms him. I'm scared. This is death in front of me. Am I going to die like this? At that moment, the old version of Rikudo, who wanted to kill himself, reappeared in his mind. None of that matters because I already wanted to die. I was already planning to end this shitty little game that was my life. Life is shit. The world is shit. Nothing will change if I die. He sits on the ground, resigned, waiting for the goblin to finally kill him. Meanwhile, he thinks, everyone down there is dying in different ways. This is death, but I don't want to die. Not like this. I don't want to die. He defends himself by grabbing a piece of metal pipe, but the goblin is very strong and manages to knock him down. Rikudo feels pain. So this is what death is really like? Miserable and full of pain. He grips the barrel with all his might, trying to stop the goblin. Who in their right mind would want to die like that? No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die in a place like this. You idiot. With sudden force, Rikudo stands up, pushing the goblin away. He feels something strange inside him, and everything around him seems to stop. It is explained that humans have a state called the zone. No matter what causes it, it's a state in which your concentration reaches its limit, allowing perfect control between body and mind. In this state, Rikudo lands a kick between the goblin's legs, knocking him out instantly. In this state, humans can have a perfect understanding of everything around them and make the best decision possible. Rikudo intuitively picks up the pipe and hits the goblin hard in the chest. He keeps hitting it over and over again until the pipe is completely dented and covered in blood. Gasping, he finally kills the goblin. After seeing the bleeding corpse, Rikudo gets nauseous and starts vomiting. My life so far has been nothing. It hasn't been real. But from now on, I feel that, from the bottom of my heart, I finally don't want to die anymore. Exhausted, he collapses and everything goes dark, until someone wakes him up, asking if he's okay. Hey, you're alive, man. That's great. It was Nichi who was there to rescue him. Your head was bleeding like crazy. I thought you'd kicked the bucket. The MC thinks, Nichi, that's this guy's name, isn't it? But he's not the same guy from earlier. When Rikudo tries to get up, he feels a lot of pain. Hey man, you shouldn't try so hard. You're hurt, says Nichi, worried. Looking at the horizon, Rikudo can't believe his eyes. The whole city is on fire. Who are these people here now? He asks himself when he sees the students who survived. Among them are those who used to bully him, but they were all traumatized just like the rest of the survivors. One teacher tried to motivate a student, saying he would protect her, but the guy was a pervert, clearly looking at her private parts. The other girls noticed and commented that the disgusting teacher was looking at the girl's breasts again. Suddenly, Rikudo hears the sound of something breaking. Looking around, he sees a makeshift barricade. We made this barricade out of any broken things we found on the ground, the students explain. Everyone ran here desperately, fleeing from the monsters. There's almost nothing left of the school. But even with this barricade, there are still people inside the school. They knocked on the barricade, asking to go in, but we wouldn't let them, says one of the students remorsefully. The narrative returns to the moment when the people tried to enter through the barricade as the monsters approached. Desperate, the people outside were left behind, being massacred by the horde of monsters. Nichi, visibly shaken, confesses, I feel horrible. There were still people outside. I could only hear their screams dying. There was nothing I could do. Rikudo tries to console Nichi. Relax, it wasn't your fault. Nobody wants to die. It's horrible, it's miserable, but we did what we could to survive. Surprised, Nichi replies, so it was you who killed that monster? Man, you're amazing. I was so nervous that I couldn't do anything. I'm usually confident, but in that situation, I couldn't save anyone. Rikudo, calmer, begins to analyze the situation when the teacher gathers all the surviving students. He tries to organize things, saying that the monsters came from smartphones. The students confirm, yes, the monsters came from our cell phones. However, one girl notices that her cell phone has completely run out of battery, which doesn't make sense since it had only just been charged. Another student checks and also finds her cell phone with no battery. All the cell phones were dead. Is yours like this too? They ask Rakuto, who shows his cell phone completely destroyed and out of order. The teacher, surprised, comments, then we can't even ask for help, since the cell phones are dead. Rakuto thinks aloud, these monsters came out of cell phones, and now all the cell phones are dead. This must be connected somehow. Besides, no monsters came out of my cell phone because it was broken. The teacher, however, is discouraged. This information is getting us nowhere. We're still stuck here, waiting to be rescued by the police or the Japanese armed forces. Rakuto then confronts him. You've got to be kidding, Professor. The monsters came out of all cell phones. Everyone has a cell phone these days, so it wasn't just ours. Don't you think that the whole of Japan and perhaps the whole world is going through the same thing? Neither the police nor the armed forces should be in a position to help us now. The teacher is speechless, and another student, Takeda, one of the bullies who used to bully Rakuto, stands up. He starts mocking Rakuto. How can an insignificant NPC like you be giving orders in a situation like this? You want another beating, do you? Rakuto looks at him with contempt. Why is this guy talking so much shit in a situation like this? Other students begin to agree with Takeda, saying that Rakuto is just pretending to be tough. Nichi tries to calm the situation down to protect Rakuto, and Sakura, a girl, also tries to appease. However, Takeda continues to tease him. Look at you, Rakuto. You're scared stiff, aren't you? Rakuto, in his thoughts, compares Takeda to a chihuahua. This guy is insignificant compared to the monster I faced. He gets angry and says, stop blaming me for everything that goes wrong in your life, you pathetic bastard. That's annoying. The group of students are shocked by what he has said. Takeda, enraged, prepares to attack Rakuto, but before he can do anything, Rakuto grabs his arm and throws him to the ground with ease. Takeda falls face down on the ground, his nose bleeding, not understanding anything. Nichi and the rest of the group are also at a loss to understand what has just happened. Takeda, screaming in pain, still tries to insult Rakuto, but he can't move. He threatens, you'll die when I get out of here. Rakuto, calm, doesn't move away. You've always been a pain in the ass, but now it's over. Rakuto tightened his grip even more on Takeda's arm, who cried out in pain. Hey man, that's enough, said Nichi, pulling Rakuto off Takeda. Nichi, confused, thought Rakuto was going crazy, almost breaking the bully's arm. He began to wonder, is this the same guy who was bullied before? The students, impressed, began to whisper to each other about Rakuto's strength. Takeda, furious, threatened, I'll kill you, but Rakuto simply ignored him. Nichi commented, we don't have time for this kind of shit, Takeda. Takeda, still irritated, got up, rubbed his arm, and left grumbling. The teacher, trying to regain control, continued, we need to get organized and find a safe way out. Rakuto, remaining calm, agreed, yes, we have to find a way out of here before it's too late. Takeda continued to snort, but the teacher quickly resumed his explanation. Nichi then summed up, there's nothing useful up here on the roof, and we don't know when rescue will arrive. At worst, they won't even come. We need a safe location, supplies of food, water, and, if possible, weapons. Sakura, worried, asked, but is there a safe location? Nichi replied, that's the big problem. We need to know if it's possible to travel around the city. We can't just sit here and wait. Saito, another student, intervenes. It's very dangerous. Those monsters are out there, prowling. We should wait for rescue. The professor finally agreed with Rakuto. He's right. We need to check if we can pass through the corridors. Hearing this, the students became even more nervous. The teacher then orders, Sakura, Takeda, go and see if you can get through the corridor. Rakuto showed no reaction, but Takeda, furious, protested, why us? You're the teacher. You should lead the way. The teacher, trying to escape responsibility, replied, I have to stay here to protect the other students. The girls began to mock Takeda, calling him a coward. He became even angrier. At that moment, Rakuto offers to go. He picks up the metal barrel, his makeshift weapon, and positions himself in front of the barricade. The girls look at him, impressed by his determination. Takeda, incredulous, asks, are you serious? Rakuto replies coldly, the longer we stay here, the worse it will be. We'll end up hungry and monster food anyway. I refuse to die like this. The girls were moved by Rakuto's words, and even Nichi was amazed, smiling as he picked up his bow. You're right, Rakuto. I'll go with you. Maybe we'll find some survivors. The teacher was desperate to see Nichi going along. If anything happens to him, I'll be responsible. The girls were worried about Nichi, but curiously not about Rakuto. How hypocritical, thought Nichi as she smiled. I'm glad you came with me, said Rakuto. Looking at Takeda, who was cowering in the corner, Nichi commented, that chihuahua has given up. Rakuto asks, are you sure you want to come with me? This exploration is going to be extremely dangerous. The chances of us dying are extremely high. Nichi replies with conviction, I think the same as you. I can't die here. I have a reason to survive, and I refuse to die in this place. Rakuto understands Nichi's feelings and smiles. You really seem trustworthy. Maybe you have a screw loose, like me. Nichi laughs. Nice to meet you, Nichitoya. Rakuto Kogan, replies Rakuto, shaking his hand. Let's count on each other. We have to get through this. The two began to walk through the dark corridors, where they found several corpses on the floor. The scene was like a nightmare, but at the same time an inescapable reality. Nichi comments, I wonder where all the monsters have gone. Rakuto replies, probably to the city. The school has run out of prey. They must be hunting elsewhere. It makes sense, but it's hard to accept that reality, sighs Nichi. Suddenly, Nichi stops and whispers, wait. They both remain silent, listening to a repetitive sound in the distance. They look around and decide to investigate, sneaking around the walls and corridors. They see the goblin looking for something. Can we make it? It's probably just one. Nichi takes his bow out of his bag and arms himself with it. He takes good aim at the goblin and fires an arrow that hits the monster's shoulder. Feeling a lot of pain, the goblin looks back and sees Nichi, starts screaming and advances. Nichi, without much reaction, stands still, but when the goblin jumps up to attack him, he is protected by Rakuto, who hits the goblin on the head with a steel pipe. The blow completely changes the trajectory of the jump, and the goblin heads for the window, crashing nearby. When he got up, still very angry, Rakuto was already ready to deliver another blow to his head. And after that, my friends, all we see is more blood on that piece of pipe. We managed to kill him. It was brutal, just as I expected. No sign of any other monsters so far. I think everything's fine. No one has come close so far, so it looks like it all worked out somehow. At least we managed to kill those. There are some monsters that humans can't even scratch. What on earth are these creatures? They look like they came out of a video game, don't they? A goblin from the games. All these monsters we've seen so far give me the impression that I've seen something like them before. They really do look like something out of fiction. If it had been a game, the goblin would have died with a single blow. In real life, we're risking our lives. We have no skills, no system, no magic. He says this as he wipes the blood off the pipe. We're only human. Only you, Rakuto, are something more. You're not a novice fighter, are you? You've had some kind of training, right? Rakuto remembers that he practiced with swords, but only with his brother, who attacked him mercilessly, while Rakuto was bloodied and his brother smiled. Real training? Not exactly. What do you mean real? He reflected on the courage and moves he had learned. Why do you stand up to those guys, huh? Like the bullying guys? Rakuto replies that he has no idea. Later, at the same school, the two walk through the corridors. It's too quiet. There doesn't seem to be anyone on the 6th floor, where the practice rooms are. There are probably monsters down here. It makes sense that it really starts from here. Nichi confirms, our goal is the ultimatum to decide our situation now. We have to find out if there's a way out of the school and how many monsters there are. If we don't know that, we'll turn into dinner. Rakuto agrees. Coming back with the information is more important. Then he warns, if there's a situation where I have to abandon you, I'll do it. And you should do the same without hesitation. The two stare at each other for a moment. All right, I get it. It's an emergency situation after all. No feelings involved. But the conversation is interrupted by a cry for help. The MC shivers and, without thinking, runs towards the sound. Rakuto, wait, shouts Nichi, but Rakuto doesn't hear him. Surely you're the kind of guy I thought you were, the one who never abandons others, even when he should. Meanwhile, we see the perspective of Tatabana Koton, a girl hiding in a closet. She hears the screams of other girls being abused by the goblins, while all the boys are already dead. She can't do anything because if she leaves, she'll meet the same fate. She wonders if it's worth staying there, if anyone is really going to get her out of this situation. The goblin starts to get more and more aggressive, and Koton hears the sound of her colleague being murdered. She no longer wants to hear these screams, these deaths. She thinks she might be dreaming and just wants to wake up. Between thoughts of guilt and regret, she apologizes, but we're not sure to whom. She feels guilty for not having the strength, for not having the courage, and for running away. In her memories, it's the morning at school, before everything happened. She remembers seeing Rikudo being beaten up by bullies. She was there, watching, thinking how awful it was, but not having the courage to intervene. She tried to speak, but her voice came out too low. She couldn't shout, she couldn't stop the situation. And Rikudo continued to be beaten, while Koton felt sadder and guiltier. She could only apologize in her head until someone called her to come back into the classroom, as class was about to start. She was pulled away, without even having interfered, and then all she saw was Rikudo lying on the floor, defeated. A little later, Koton woke up in the closet, sobbing as she realized that she had fainted or slept. She wasn't sure. She wondered how the other girls were doing outside, and now she heard a much stranger sound than before. She had no idea how long she had been hiding there. When she tried to pick up her cell phone, she dropped it, making a loud noise inside the cupboard. Desperate, she realized that the sound was too loud, and that constant noise she heard in the background stopped immediately after the accident. In complete silence, Koton prayed that no one had noticed the sound. But a short while later, the goblins opened the doors of the cupboard where she was hiding. In the background, she could only see all her dead colleagues. Helpless, Koton became desperate. A goblin grabbed her by the hair, pulling her into the middle of the room where other goblins were. He obviously planned to do the same to her as he had to the others. He started tearing at her clothes, and all she could do was call out for help. The last thing she saw were those filthy goblins approaching. Unable to react, Koton cried. Suddenly, the goblins in front of him were brutally killed. So much blood gushed out that a few drops fell on his face. The huge goblin, who had killed them with a single blow of his club, was standing there. He blew the head off the goblin in front of him, but he didn't seem to be an ally. Other goblins surrounded the giant, trying to attack him, but he grabbed his club and killed them all at once. Koton watched in shock. The monster stared at her, and again, all she could do was ask for help. Meanwhile, Rikudo and Nichi were running towards where the screams were coming from. In the corridors, they could hear Koton screaming a lot. She was being held down by that ogre or giant goblin. They weren't sure what it was. He had easily dealt with the smaller goblins, tying them up and dragging their corpses around like leashes. Koton begged the monster to let her out, but when she wouldn't shut up, he threw her against the wall. Koton fainted after the impact. Meanwhile, the two boys were peering down the corridors. "Hey, Rikudo, what the hell is that? Are my arrows even effective against that monster? That sight wasn't pleasant at all. What the hell is that?" Nichi remembered that, while they were exploring upstairs, there were few monsters, which now made sense. So that's a monster food chain, and that one over there is the one that's dominating the territory now. We don't stand a chance against it, but what are we going to do to save that girl? Rikudo stood up, determined. "Hey, Rikudo, what are you going to do?" "I'm going to save her. The girl is still alive." "Rikudo, do you have any last wishes or words before you die? That's not a creature humans can defeat. Can't you see that? Then why are you doing this? Moral? Ethics? Satisfaction? You're just putting your life at risk without thinking. You asked me before if I was dead. As you said, I wanted to die to get rid of this game they call life. But when I came face to face with death, I felt from the bottom of my heart that I wanted to live. So I came back from the dead and made the decision to save that girl. I'm going to do it because that's the proof that I'm finally alive." "You really are crazy, aren't you? To die so irresponsibly. Is that what you call living?" "Nichi, you don't have to come with me if you don't want to. That's my problem now." Nichi reflects and remembers the words of his older brother, who always called him incompetent and said that he had no family, no friends, and no one by his side. "You're dead. Nobody knows you exist, so pretend you're dead too." At that moment, Nichi thought, "Big brother, no Serato, I'm sorry, but right now, I won't be dead again. At least, not until it kills me." "Now wait a minute, Rikudo. Listen here, I have a younger sister. We don't have the same blood and we go to different schools, but that's why I can't die here. If I die, she'll be alone. If I turn my back on that girl, it's like I'm abandoning my own sister. She's a girl too, and she could be in the same situation. If I can't fight now, how will I protect my sister in the future? If I see this situation and just run, what I'll be most afraid of is not having the courage to save my sister when she needs me. So, Rikudo, you and I are gonna save that girl. Let's do something stupid now together." Nichi sighs. "You don't seem to be the only crazy one around here. Do you? Rikudo replies, "Oh, shut up and leave me alone. It's my pride that's at stake." Right, but that's the real problem. What do we do? Attacking that monster is certain death. Nichi, if you really want to fight me, I have a plan. A plan? Exactly what's on your mind? I'll tell you everything now. Later, we return to Koton's scene. She wakes up tied up somewhere. Confused, she wonders why she's trapped and notices other dead goblins tied up around her. She sees a large bonfire where the giant monster was roasting the bodies of people and goblins to eat. While the monster was eating the head of one of the students, Koton, in complete despair, let out a loud cry. "We need to run," said Nichi in a hurry. "I know," replied Rikudo, also tense. "Hey Rikudo, quickly, I need to tell you something." "What?" "Listening to your plan, now I'm sure you're completely crazy." "Maybe." Koton stood there, watching the flames and realizing that it was the end for her. Bound and powerless, her thoughts turned to the inevitable. She would be devoured, just like the others. The gigantic monster was eating the corpses down to the bone, and she didn't want to die in such a horrible way. As she struggled in silence, the monster, attracted by the noise she was making, dropped the bone it was eating and came towards her. Desperate, Koton tried to stop crying, but the pole she was tied to was ripped out and thrown to the ground. The monster seemed about to make her its next meal. He grabbed the pole by the base and started dragging it towards the fire. Desperate, Koton begged for help as she approached the flames. Then a strange sound distracted the monster. In the doorway stood Rikudo, with a metal pipe in his hand, staring at the creature. Koton could hardly believe his eyes. "Is that Rikudo?" she thought, confused. "Hey you, girl, close your eyes," ordered Rikudo. Koton was confused, but had no time to think. The monster dropped the pole to the ground and prepared to attack Rikudo, who quickly grabbed a fire extinguisher and filled the creature's face with foam. The monster, its vision impaired, was stunned, and Rikudo ran to try and rescue Koton. "I don't know who you are, but please shut up or we'll get caught," he said, as he tried to cut the ropes that bound her. Koton, in her confusion, thought it was obvious that he didn't recognize her. "How would he remember me?" she thought. Rikudo struggled with the ropes. "Damn, that blade isn't sharp enough. What's this rope made of?" he muttered. "Carrying you isn't an option either. There's no way. Time for plan B," thought Rikudo, slamming the steel pipe against the ground 3 times, making a lot of noise. That was the signal for Nichi, who was hiding in wait. When he heard the sound, Nichi became alert. "Rikudo, so you're really going to do this? Your plan is insane," thought Nichi with some apprehension. "I'm not very confident, but I'll do my best. If I make a mistake, you won't blame me, right, Rikudo?" Meanwhile, the smoke from the fire extinguisher began to dissipate, and the monster finally spotted Rikudo and Koton. It became furious and advanced towards them. Suddenly, the windows shattered. Rikudo, knowing what this meant, prepared to face the creature. The monster ran fiercely towards him. Rikudo knew that a mistake would be fatal. "If I make a mistake now, even by a little, I'm dead," he thought. "I think what I'm going to do now is my only option." Koton, desperate, shouted, "Rikudo, get out of there. You're going to die." But Rikudo was focused. He positioned himself with the metal pipe and, when the monster struck with its huge club, Rikudo managed to deflect the attack, changing the trajectory of the weapon. The blow was so strong that it cracked the ground, and the monster, surprised, didn't understand how his blow had missed. "I've heard of this technique, monster. The technique of changing the trajectory of the enemy's weapon," muttered Rikudo, remembering his father's lessons. "Somehow, I still have that muscle reflex. Thanks, Dad." The monster attacked again, but Rikudo was prepared. Using the redirection technique, he made minimal effort to deflect the blow, creating an opening. With this gap, Rikudo struck the monster's foot with the pipe. "This technique only exists in modern kendo. Dad, I haven't forgotten the skills you taught me," he thought as he continued to fight. Koton, observing everything, was in awe of Rikudo. "In the end, they're just monsters. They have no technique," she reflected. However, the monster's fury only increased. It attacked again, but Rikudo, already determined to win, realized that the monster was making mistakes. Its attacks were monotonous, made by someone who didn't know how to fight. With one swift movement, Rikudo smashed the steel pipe into the monster's head. The monster started screaming in pain. Koton thought that Rikudo was making a perfect attack, blocking every blow. But at the same time, she noticed that he was getting tired. "Even blocking, I still feel the impact. My body won't last much longer at this rate, and my grip is losing strength. Hell, I'm not even managing to really damage him. He's still in one piece. I'm only surviving thanks to my reflexes, thought Rakuto, frustrated. Realizing that a frontal attack was impossible, Rakuto knew he had to act quickly. I have to do it now. Over here, you monster bastard, he shouted. But instead of falling for the taunt, the monster looked at Koton, still tied up, and grabbed the pole she was tied to. Rakuto realized that the situation was becoming increasingly desperate. Not only was he facing the monster, but Koton was also in danger, trapped in one of the creature's arms. From outside the school, it was possible to see the structure swaying with the violence of the impacts as the monster destroyed everything in the corridor in its fury. Koton, in the midst of the chaos, reminisced about her childhood. She thought of the playground where she was bullied for crying and how Rakuto, even at a young age, defended her and stood up to the bullies. She remembered how he always put himself in danger to protect others and thought she could never repay him for what he did for her. Nishi was in position, ready. Rakuto is really different. The guy is being chased and still manages to dodge attacks, but he's on the edge. Hold on tight, Rakuto. Just 10 more meters. Once we have a clear corridor, I'll have a clear path to hit the monster. I can't miss with that arrow. As the monster approached and almost hit Rakuto, he tried to use Kyoto's again, but the pain in his fists and wrists was unbearable. This time, Rakuto was unable to block the attack and was thrown away. Nishi was shocked to see Rakuto hit and spat out a lot of blood. It looked like he had been defeated. Nishi thought, this is bad, really bad. Rakuto. He remembered Rakuto's instructions. Listen, Nishi, aim for the only vulnerable spot. You'll only get one shot and you mustn't fire until you're sure you're going to hit. If you miss, it's over. I'll die and you probably will too. Nishi was distressed. Oh no, that's not good. I don't have the right conditions yet. The distance isn't right, nor the angle. If I get any closer, he'll see me. But he'll die at this rate. I have no other choice. As Rakuto stood up, Nishi didn't shoot and was shocked to see Rakuto still standing. You need a few more meters. Wait for your moment, thought Nishi, while Koton and Nishi were worried about the situation. The monster slowly approached Rakuto, who was so weak that he had to lean on the walls to walk. He fell to his knees, exhausted, but got up again. My legs are too weak. I just need to get a few meters closer. Finally, Rakuto managed to get close enough, and it was then that the monster roared so loudly that even Rakuto's body shook, and Nishi felt the vibration from afar. Koton, desperate, shouted for Rakuto to run, warning him that he had done enough and that he couldn't save her without dying. But Rakuto remained standing, staring at the creature. Koton wondered why he was doing this for her, feeling that she didn't deserve to be saved by someone to whom she hadn't been able to give anything back. She recalled a time when she hadn't had the courage to help him, and how she had been bullied into agreeing not to get involved. In the present, she felt regret for not having helped Rakuto before and didn't understand why he was helping someone who had done nothing for him. As the monster prepared to attack Rakuto, Koton, with one last effort, bit the creature's ear. This caused the monster to miss its attack, creating an opening. Rakuto saw his chance and tried to fit the metal barrel into the monster's weapon again, but was thrown away. However, he fell with a smile on his face. The monster, furious, threw Koton to the ground and went back to chasing Rakuto. She could do nothing but shout for him to run, but he was still there, lying on the ground. It's all right. There's nothing more I can do, she thought, as the monster prepared to kill Rakuto. Nishi, with his arrow ready, thought, I did it. That's your distance, partner. You're right about the distance and the angle. I've never gone wrong with this setup. When the monster saw Nishi and the arrow, he was shocked. That's going to be a piece of cake to hit. Nishi fired and the arrow hit the creature right in the eye. Flashback to 10 minutes ago. You need to use this on your arrow, Sakura told Nishi before the exploration. It's undiluted ethanol, 100% pure alcohol. It's an extremely toxic poison. In humans, even a 40% alcohol tequila has an effect. This alcohol is 100% pure and should affect even the monster. So you're relying on common sense, aren't you? But even a child would know that a thin needle like that isn't going to penetrate that guy's skin. That's why, Nishi, you have to aim right at his eye. If the needle penetrates the eye, it will quickly reach the blood. But how do we know that his weak point is his eye? Obviously, I'm going to confirm that now with the fire extinguisher. I'll throw it in his face. If he covers his eyes, you already know. If he has the same reaction as humans when something gets in his eye must not be that powerful. Sounds like a simple plan, doesn't it? Well, I'm going for it. You finish the job, you know what to do. I'll be counting on you, Nishi. And we see in the present that he's managed to hit the monster right in the eye. Jesus, Ruto, you really are crazy. That was the signal for Rikudo to hit it with a pipe 3 times to indicate that the monster really does have a weak spot in its eyes. A simple and easy to understand plan. Rikudo, right on target, 10 points. The creature seems to be in a lot of pain and tries to get the arrow out of its eye. Well, as far as that goes, Katwan was just on the ground, seeing how incredible that plan was. The creature tries to pull the arrow out, but it gets weaker and weaker. It's so weak from the poison getting into its blood that it even kneels down. It looks like the effect is wearing off. But even weak like that, the creature manages to get up and screams loudly. Tries to hit Rikudo, who manages to dodge the blow. Rikudo thinks, it's not because it's a deadly poison that it will kill him instantly. Meanwhile, the monster is going berserk, hitting everywhere. It even opens another hole in the corridor. He's panting heavily and tired, really weak from the poison in his blood. But as a last chance, he goes for Rudo. But Rikudo doesn't give up. On the contrary, he goes up and grabs the monster's leg. Even the creature didn't expect him to do that. Rikudo manages to leave him on the edge of falling, but the creature realizes this and pushes his legs to keep from falling, just a little more. But the creature prepares to finish Rikudo off right there. But Nishi appears just then and pushes the monster away with Rikudo. Both Rikudo and the creature fall. The creature screams loudly before falling, and when it hits the ground, all we can see is its blood. Luckily, Rikudo manages to stay up there, because Nishi, at the last moment, pulls him out. Here, I'll grab you, boy. I wonder. And we see that the creature died in the fall because it hit its head. Katwan managed to get free from the ropes. It's not known how. Thank you very much, they both say. Nishi says how crazy and stupid you are. Huh? Oh, you don't have any room to talk in this field either, do you? But weren't you worried that I'd miss my arrow? Miss? You didn't come first in the national tournament. You really are crazy. Only we see that she hasn't completely freed herself from the ropes of that pole she was tied to. Then Nishi finally cuts her ropes and says, here you are. At last you're free. You must have been very frightened. Can you stand up? Only she runs out of his sight and hugs Rikudo very tightly. He doesn't even react to it. Rikudo, thank you so much. You really saved me. Then Nishi realizes something. So that was it, Rikudo. That's why you sacrificed yourself, isn't it? You put your life on the line for your girlfriend. Girlfriend? No. And to think you'd make such a beautiful couple. Oh no, you must be misunderstanding. Me and Rikudo, there's nothing. Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry, but who are you? Hey. Rikudo, calm down, man. This is too much for the girl. I really don't know. I understand. It makes sense why you wouldn't remember. It was a long time ago. I'm Katwan Tachibana. We used to meet in elementary school. Do you remember? We were very close. You really don't remember? I called you Riku and you called me Koto. Koto, until he finally remembers. It's a child he'll never forget, because he remembers that that boy was making fun of her. It was a girl he had to protect, and he didn't even blink before helping. A fight he couldn't afford to lose, and he won that fight. Only that boy took a complete hatred to Rikudo, and that was the beginning of the end. His parents died in a car accident. Apparently the brakes didn't work. There was a part missing from the car. Someone took it out, and it was Serato, that psychopathic child. Then Rikudo was adopted by monsters who were even more monstrous than Serato. That's when he had everything stolen and lost everything he had. He died inside. He remembers this, gets a bit nauseous and vomits. Rikudo, are you okay in there, man? Rikudo, are you okay? Hang in there. No, I'm fine. It's nothing. And Nishi thinks to himself, I can tell. It's obvious that you're not okay. I remember. So it was you all along, was it, Tachibana? I didn't know we were at the same high school. Yeah, I'm sorry, Rikudo. I could have spoken to you before, but don't worry about it. You made the right choice. It wouldn't do you any good to get involved with me. The sun will come up soon. We can't take too long. We have to pass on information. Katwan, are you coming with us? Of course I'm coming. I know you must have been through a lot, but we need to get back. Of course I understand. Sometime later, at the same school, they were climbing the stairs, a little tired after everything that had happened. Katwan was praying for her dead classmates, and Nishi found a small dragon with fiery spines halfway up. Apparently, there were still no signs of monsters in the building, and Rikudo thought that the huge orc that was there might be the boss. Now that the boss was dead, the other monsters who were afraid of him could come back. They needed a new plan. They also explained that they had closed all the emergency fire doors, blocking off the first and second floors. Finally, they returned to the terrace to pass on the information. The staff were amazed that they had actually come back alive, and the teacher was worried, but only about Nishi, since he was the model student. Nishi thought to himself, asshole. Then someone shouted Koton's name and a guy quickly came to hug her. It was the same guy who had pulled her out of fights instead of helping Rakuto. Thank God you're alive, Katwan. Ah, Saito, she said, pulling out of the hug. Rakuto, I wanted to. Nishi thinks that a rather complicated situation has been created here. Is this someone, you know, Tachibana? Oh yes, actually. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Saito Shinjiro. She and I are in a relationship, said Saito. Sakura was all excited. Oh, you're dating? It's okay. There's no need to be embarrassed, Katwan. Our parents approved of us dating. Have you forgotten when you fell back there? I'm thanking God that you survived, said Saito. Aishi, thank you so much for rescuing her. If you want to thank anyone, thank Rakuto. He was the one who rescued Tachibana almost single-handedly. Was that really it? The people started muttering about the pathetic Rakuto who had done it. They were wondering if he was the same person as before, who had first beaten up Taka and was now saving people. Ah, it's you, Kogan, isn't it? And to think you'd have the strength and courage to do that. Anyway, let me thank you. You saved her, didn't you? Yes, that's right, confirmed Rakuto. But it's okay. I'll protect her from now on, okay? Okay, let's go. Katwan, you must be very exhausted, but I wanted to talk to Rakuto. Nishi glances at Rakuto, who doesn't even react. I don't know why Nishi expects any reaction from him, because he never does. I'm finding this a bit strange. Are they really boyfriend and girlfriend? Commented Sakura. Anyway, that thing you gave us, gee, it saved a lot, didn't it, Rakuto? Oh, really? That's nice. Those monsters look very fictional and real, but you see, when viewed through the lens of structural biology and evolutionary theory, there shouldn't be much difference in the composition of humans. The formation of the skeleton, for example, the approximate position of the respiratory and circulatory systems, and also the muscular structure. It was thanks to all this that I discovered that alcohol would be effective. She was explaining the theory of biology and Nishi wasn't understanding a word. Sakura, why were you carrying that in your pocket? Asked Nishi. Oh, that's just... Before he could finish, the teacher came running and shouting to speak to Nishi. He asked, what exactly happened down there? Obviously, Nishi told him everything. After a while, he briefly explained that the situation was not very favorable. They hadn't found any survivors apart from Tachibana. Apart from that, there was nothing good down there. Everyone was terrified by this, but for the time being everything was fine, as several of the fire shutters had been lowered. The lower floors were safe for now, and there were a few rooms where they could sleep decently. There was also some stray food in the canteen that might help them hold out for a while. The teacher began to reorganize everyone to get supplies and organize the base at the school. He said he would take charge of everything, but the students thought the teacher was an idiot. In fact, they had been for some time. The school began to transform into a new base for survivors. By morning, everyone was organizing the classrooms, removing what was useless and using chairs and tables to barricade the doors. The staff managed to find lost food and water and retrieve their backpacks from the lockers. Monsters don't have much interest in backpacks. Our Silver was carrying a sack full of corpses. Professor Oyama was being a bit of a pain, making him carry the bodies. Someone has to do this, right? We need to get them out of here before they start to rot. I'm gonna take the bodies to the roof and throw them from there. I don't see any better option than that. Even though it's sad, you're right. Everyone is very strange now. This guy who's dead in here bullied me a lot, and not just him, everyone who bullied me, even the teachers who blamed me for things. I wonder if they really should have died. I should certainly be laughing at their deaths, but right now I can't laugh. That's the worst feeling of all. I don't think I'll ever be able to have a real laugh again, especially after something like this has happened in the world. Maybe it's divine punishment for all those people who did bad things. As far as I'm concerned, you're a hero to me now and in the past too, said Katwan, remembering the time when Rakuto saved her in childhood. Well, I'm going to help you out here, Rakuto. Oh yes, of course. Are you sure? It's quite a shocking sight for a girl, replied Rakuto. It's okay. I'm tired of standing still, and I feel that it's something I need to change if I want to live in this new world. If that's the case, I'll accept your help, Kogan. Saito then pushes Rakuto unexpectedly. What are you doing? Katwan, don't let him make you work like this. Come with me now. Rakuto didn't react, but the look on his face said it all. Honestly, you're scary, Kogan, trying to make my dear Katwan do her job. You should be ashamed of yourself. Saito replied, what are you doing? I offered to help and he accepted. Ah, Katwan, it's okay. I can see what's going on here. He's just using the fact that he saved you to force you to do his job, isn't he? Oh really? What a standard you've got, eh? What are you talking about, Kogan? I'm sorry, but I'm going to take the liberty of telling everyone about this incident here. Be careful with him, see, caught one? He can't be trusted by anyone. Why are you being so inconvenient and annoying? Caught one, be quiet. This is a very serious matter. I don't care one bit. You can leave now, said Saito, going back to carrying the bodies without saying another word. Come on, caught one. You don't have to do anything for him from now on. Just do as I say. Suddenly, Rikudo heard a loud noise and turned to see what it was. It was caught one slapping Saito in the face. I'm sorry, but I've had enough of this, said caught one. Saito, what are you doing? It was because of our parents and our social circle, but I don't want to be friendly with you anymore. I can't take it anymore. Caught one, what are you talking about? You promised that we would live together. That was something our parents decided. Not me, replied Saito. Hey, I know you're dealing with a serious issue here, but can you yell somewhere else? I'm trying to work here, someone interrupted. Ah, come on, caught one. I'm asking you not to cause too much trouble, said Saito. And besides, without me, who's going to protect you? Are you really saying that? You say that after I sacrificed myself to save your ass? What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Do you really think I didn't notice when the monsters came out of the cell phones? She had a flashback to when they were running together. Caught one told Saito to go to the roof because it seemed to be the safest place, but seeing the speed of the monsters, she knew they would catch up. As she turned, Saito put his foot in front of her, and she fell. He kept running and didn't even look back, leaving her to die by the monsters. The only idea she had not to die was to run into a room and hide in the closet until she was saved by Rikudo. No, of course it wasn't on purpose. It was an accident. Of course I wouldn't do such a thing. Before I knew it, you were no longer behind me. I think I was desperate at the time and misunderstood the situation, said Saito. Caught one, that must have been it. But I've had enough. I can't trust you anymore, Saito. I don't think we should ever speak to each other like this again. I don't want to be around you anymore. I never did. Then forget about me. Oh, caught one, don't tell me you're doing this because of this guy. I did all that for you, and this is how you repay me. Saito, what are you talking about? Oh, shut up and speak when I tell you to. Saito prepared to hit caught one, but just as she was about to be hit, Rikudo grabbed his fist. I'll say it as many times as necessary. You can take your little quarrel somewhere else. I'm trying to work here. I certainly feel a different aura about you now. You've always been at the mercy of those assholes who humiliated you and had a dead look on your face. But now you're all full of yourself just because the people who humiliated you are dead. Saito, don't say things like that to him. It's typical of a shady guy like you to gloat over the deaths of others. Saito, can I ask you something? Who exactly is your self-proclaimed speech aimed at? Because I don't think saying that kind of thing is going to increase your value here very much. You're the dark one. You're the sick one here. Saito tried to punch Rikudo, but he dodged easily. How dare you play brother to me, a model student? Saito, what are you doing? Get back. A selfish guy like you is disrupting the harmony here. You're getting carried away with his words and, for everyone's sake, I'm going to stop him here. Caught one, there's no reaction at all. She's fine. Be on your guard, Kogan. Don't think you're all that just because you fought the monster. I'll give you a good beating so you can go back to your old self, challenged Saito. Rikudo thought to himself, this Kate position, maybe he only knows the basics of this fight, but either way, I don't feel like fighting. I'll pass. So you're yellowing, are you, wimp? Above all, you're still that asshole, aren't you? It's nothing like that. One way or another, you're Tachibana's friend, right? So if I hurt you, Tachibana will feel bad. That's why. Saito got nervous when he heard that. You don't know when to shut up. Saito advanced on Rikudo, but it was explained that real combat is much more valuable than any training. It's worth more than several years of training in the dojo. The credibility of this common sense is unclear, but all common sense must be based on something. At least Sato's attacks didn't hit Rikudo, and even if they did, it wouldn't have made any difference to Rikudo. After facing that huge monster, he doesn't feel afraid of facing this brat. With an iron mind now, he can patiently dodge any blow. As Saito misses a blow and falls on top of the bag of corpses, he sees the face of one of the dead men and is paralyzed with fear. Are you going to help me carry that damn Kurigane? He picks up a sharp piece of wood and prepares to act. Hey, guys, what's going on here? What's all the noise? Asks Nichi, arriving. Ah, you finally arrived. What's going on? It was nothing, replied Rikudo, but Nichi didn't seem to believe him. Why do I get the impression that you're lying? Saito stands up, very nervous. Ah, I see. I think I'll take over things around here now. Tachibana, Saito, are you okay with this? I don't mind. There's no problem. Saito leaves as if nothing had happened. Nichi thinks Saito Shinjiro, a good athletic student, has never had a problem at school. He seems to have an obsession with Tadabana. I hope they don't end up fighting over her. But Nichi, what are you doing here? Things have finished downstairs, so I've come to help out up here. Sorry to leave the hard work to you, man. It's not good, replied Rakudo. Everyone is feeling safe now, Senator Robin Hood. Rakudo imitates Nichi's arrow and says, 10 points. Oh, I said that in the heat of the moment. Cut it out. It's super awkward, replied Nichi. After we take this to the terrace, we need to go back. We need a meeting to discuss what we're going to do next. Okay, fine. Later in the evening, the staff are already settling down in the rooms, lining up things to sleep on and using flashlights. The teacher was carrying a box of supplies and was putting in the last one he had. He was boasting, but all the students thought he was an asshole. Oh, I've lost my appetite, said someone. Me too, replied another. The MC was kneading something and commented, I'm surprised you can eat like that. If you don't eat, you die. I know it's true, but oh damn. CUJ was complaining about something. Why isn't it working? Nichi, it's the cell phone. I found a disposable charger, but it's not working. The cell phone won't charge for some reason. Has it ever been used by anyone? No, it was in the packaging. It's brand new. But you can see that the monsters came out of the cell phones. So, fundamentally, I think they've been broken. Oh, I thought I'd be able to connect to the internet and find useful information. If only I had the internet. What a sad life. But would the internet work even without electricity? Yes, because this city is a futuristic development. If I remember correctly, the server is autonomous and doesn't depend on external electricity. It just works. I really don't understand your explanation. How does it work? I'd need a cell phone that a monster didn't get out of. Rakudo showed his cell phone. Here, no monster got out of here. My cell phone was broken before everything happened, so nothing came out of it. But it's broken, right? It kind of defeats the purpose. CUJ, we have the same cell phone model. We're matching, except mine's useless too. That model you're using is very old, from years ago. They're fixable. I'm wondering if I can fix it. Are you sure? I think so. Finally, after so long, I see a ray of hope. The next morning, everyone paid attention to something Nichi had to say. We know that our situation is only going to get worse from now on. The food will only last another 3 days. We can't get out of here at all, and we have no information about the outside. These were the only weapons I could find. I think my steel barrel is still the best. In short, we're screwed. But according to CUJ, if she has the right tools, she might be able to fix Rakudo's cell phone using spare parts from Koton's cell phone, right? CUJ, yeah, I think so, probably. Everyone thought CUJ was dumb. Apparently she had that reputation. We have Tata to thank for that. Well, I'd get that asshole's phone fixed. If we can get online, we can understand something about the situation and maybe even get in touch with other survivors, as well as see the location of some emergency shelters, concluded Tata. Speaking of the internet and computers, the equipment was also broken after everything happened. This makes no sense, as the monsters appeared regardless of whether they were connected or not. It's as if all the terminals that could connect to the internet had been destroyed. Just thinking about it makes my head hurt. Anyway, only Rakudo's phone was already broken when the monsters appeared, so there's a high chance that we'll be able to get online if we repair it. The others, like Rakudo, who luckily managed to keep their terminals from being destroyed, may also be out there. If we can get in touch, that will be very good. It's our priority now. So the place to find the right tools is the Discount General Store, isn't it? Yes, indeed, that store would have the tools. I've been there several times to buy this sort of thing, so we should go straight away. We might even get weapons and food, 2 birds with 1 stone. The teacher comes in shouting, saying he's against it because it's too dangerous. Professor Oyama, if we don't go, we'll die sooner or later. The professor still has hope that they can be rescued, and his first argument is that there are too many monsters out there. He's managed to kill one, but what will he do with all the others? Luckily, the store isn't too far away. In fact, we made it there by car. Why don't you drive for us? He's amazed. When it comes to other people, pepper up other people's asses is refreshment, isn't it? Professor, I think this is the only way. it would be much more dangerous to walk. The teacher gets nervous, wanting to get his own back. Eliza makes the same argument as always. Who would protect these helpless students if not me? It's for everyone's own good that I couldn't drive for them. Nichi thinks that's the problem. An unexpected person offers to drive. I can drive. I know how to drive, so I'll drive. What? Tadabana, do you drive? Do you have a driver's license? Oh, my grandfather lived on a farm, so I learned from him when I was little. He let me drive his truck, so I learned. Tadabana, I didn't expect that. You don't look like much, but you're a tomboy, aren't you? Yeah, it's Kot1. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Sai 2, stay out of this. Kot1 retorts. Are you sure about this? The situation outside is deadly in every way. Even inside the car, we won't be completely safe. There's no guarantee that I'll be able to protect you. Nevertheless, you will. I don't want to die, but I'm also like you. I have no idea what's going on and I'm very scared, but I don't want to die like that. So if there's a chance, I'll go. Well, I'm counting on you, Tadabana, to lend us your strength. Saitu is annoyed, but the teacher is furious, banging on the board. He's angry because the children, in quotes, are making the decisions without the teacher. He says that he has a responsibility to look after the students and that he can't let them do it. He says this with a crazed expression, which makes it seem as if it's best to get away from him. But teacher, if we stay here and do nothing, the teacher tells Nichi to shut up, saying that they can't be in charge of such an important situation. Only he should be in charge. Let's wait for reinforcements, he says, because we've managed to ration the water and food. If they don't come, that's the best choice. In fact, the opposite is true. Why can't you, teacher, see that this is the worst possible decision at the moment? The teacher gets angry, saying that this is no way to talk to him. You're looking at things all wrong. Common sense doesn't apply here. There's no such thing as a safe place. Just then, a slime falls from the ceiling and attacks a student. The acid from the slime begins to melt the student's skin, and his classmates, like Tata and others, do nothing. The teacher is also terrified, but Rakuto jumps in. There really is no common sense with these things. There is no safe place in this world anymore. Standing around waiting is just waiting for death to come. Rakuto picks up a metal pipe and starts hitting the slime, but it doesn't seem to be very effective, as it's a slime. He rebels and continues attacking the slime, which is now trying to embrace the student and make a kind of cocoon. Meanwhile, the student is there, being corroded and asking for help. I'll help you, hold on tight. Rakuto picks up a hanging cloth and thinks about lending a hand. You bet, Rakuto. A slime can dissolve a human body completely, but the fibers in the clothes aren't digesting it. If that's the case, Rakuto throws the cloth over the slime and, with Nichi's help, pulls the student out of the slime. Rakuto pulls the slime out with the cloth, but he knows it won't hold the slime for long. Damn, I don't think that's going to work. Usually, physical attacks aren't effective against slimes. We need magic attacks. So let's give it a try, shall we? Nichi, do you have any way of making fire? Oh no, I don't have anything here with me. If it's fire you want. Sujay, where did you get gas? She pours the gasoline over the cloth covering the slime and lights a lighter. Go on, I hope you like this. Slime. The slime combusts immediately and starts to burn until there's nothing left. It evaporates. Well, we know that fire is one of his weaknesses now. Oh, what have I done? Sujay looks at the burnt remains. Congratulations, Sujay. You've helped a lot. Nichi asks, how is he? Not very well. We saved him too late. The student, who had part of his face eaten away by the slime, died. I understand, says Rakuto. The teacher, observing the scene, begins to understand the seriousness of the situation. Professor Oyama, do you understand now? There is no common sense with these things around us. If we stay here, we're going to die slowly. The biggest surprise is that we all survived this attack, and yet you insist on staying here waiting to be rescued. The teacher is so weak in his argument that he falls to his knees. He says he understands and will let the others make the decisions. Outside, Nichi is shooting arrows and Rakuto is attacking with a pipe. So far, there are no signs of any more monsters in the area. We need to go now. Professor Oyama's car is over there, says Rakuto. Tadabana, take the key. The car isn't automatic, it's manual. How do you drive it? Asks Nichi. No problem. I've only ever driven manual cars. It's actually more common these days, replies Tadabana. You're amazing, Tadabana. Then we really must go. It's the only way to get the tools to repair the cell phone. Tadabana gets into the car, nervous, thinking about how short her life is. Nichi wonders what she's carrying in her bag. Well, if you're going in, get in soon. Are you sure you're going? Saitu, Kot1 is going, so it's obvious that I'm going. After all, it's my job to protect her. Don't keep making trouble, says Saitu. Don't worry, I'm not stupid. I don't want to die either, replies Katwan. Saitu is visibly irritated, and Nichi realizes that he has become frustrated by Tatabana's presence. I really hope he doesn't make trouble. Okay, let's go then. Everybody ready? Yes, I'm fine, even if I don't want to go, says Tatabana. Saitu doesn't say anything because he's annoyed. Let's go to our destination. They get into a car that looks more like a minivan and head towards the store. Meanwhile, the people left in the building are watching them. One of the students tells the teacher that they should hurry and burn the bodies scattered on the roof, as Rikudo had suggested. But the teacher gets angry, picks up a kendo training sword and slams it on the ground, ordering everyone to be quiet and that he no longer wants to hear orders from Rikudo, Nichi, or anyone else. Rikudo will do that when he gets back, he says, and he's not commanding anything because I'm the teacher here. Meanwhile, in the destroyed city, with dragons flying in the sky, monstrous wolves start barking at the approaching car. The car runs over the wolves. Tatabana, that feeling of driving around was definitely the best choice. The little monsters are no problem, just drive over them, says Rikudo. But I don't think that's a very good road, Tatabana points out. We'll have to go around the last intersection and turn back at the interchange. Well, Tatabana, it's up to you. Yes, of course, Rikudo. They pass unknown creatures, like miniature dragons that look like bats, and the street is full of monstrous wolves eating corpses. I guess the world really is over, says Tatabana. Any sign of survivors? Asks Nichi. Not around here, replies Tatabana. Well, I imagine that lucky people like us are in hiding. It's normal you do it, says Nichi. So you're saying we're normal? Asks Katwan. Saitu, have you seen anything? Up there, I'm sure it's a convenience store. You can certainly get food there. Shouldn't we take a look? It does sound good. Where we're going, I'm sure there's food too. The longer we stay here, the riskier it will be. Nobody asked your opinion, Saitu. Are you gonna say it's dangerous now? Just because you took the initiative to fight the monsters, you don't get to act like a leader here. It makes me want to vomit. Hey, calm down. Rikudo's just giving his opinion too. Let's relax, says Nichi. Yeah, really? What do we do now? We're not sure if we'll find food where we're going. But if the place we're in now is a nest of monsters, that's the end of us too. Is it worth the risk to get food? Nichi, there's no right choice here. Now that we're abroad and we don't even know exactly what to do, I want to give it my all. I'm going to trust your judgment on this situation. No matter what happens, I won't complain, says Rikudo. Then let's try the convenience store. Food is essential, and we should take any opportunity to get it. 5 minutes later, they park the car and start to leave. It was a convenience store, says Rikudo. Let's go then. It's time to get some food. You three be careful in there. Huh. Oh yes, if things get bad, we'll run back, replies Tatabana. They approach the store, which is badly damaged, but at least there's no sign of monsters around. The store seems to have been looted, with much of the food stock already consumed. Bread, anajirai. The food is almost all gone, comments Nichi. Other survivors or the monsters have eaten it all, but it looks like the canned goods are almost untouched. Let's take what we have here. 15 minutes later, they manage to gather a good amount of supplies. We got a good amount, says Rikudo. Yes, it seems so. Saitu, however, hears a strange noise. Hey guys, I heard a noise coming from over there. Nichi opens the door. Is anyone there? There's nothing here, just a cardboard box, says Nichi. But something seems strange about the box. Look, a box full of bread. What's wrong with that? It's just food, says Saitu. Calm down, Saitu. You're so agitated just because I found something strange with that box. There's food inside, but there's blood all around. It looks like something happened in there, explains Rikudo. What do you mean something happened? Asks Nichi. I don't know, but look what's written on the floor. Don't come any closer. Dangerous monster. That gives me a very bad feeling. It's best to stay away from that box, says Rikudo. You're saying that, but you're going to come back with your tail between your legs and steal all the credit, aren't you? My story, I found it first, so it's mine, challenges Saitu. When he looks inside the box, a creature's eye appears, and tentacles start coming out of the box. Saitu's screams echo from inside the store. What was that? I heard a scream from Saitu. I wonder what happened, asked Cotone. Get down, orders Rakuto. Outside, there are more monsters which look like reptilian soldiers. Where's Rakuto when we need him? Inside the store, a creature with one eye in the middle and several tentacles is attacking Saitu. The savior of the country, Rakuto, goes towards the creature, hitting it with a metal pipe and begins to beat it up. In the end, it was a mime, that kind of video game monster that disguises itself as a treasure chest. So there really are game monsters here, says Rakuto. You'd better take a look. If I remember correctly, they're lizard men who've come to investigate the noise. That's bad. There are several of them, and they don't seem to have noticed us yet. We won't be able to leave here until later. There are too many of them, and, besides, the girls are still in the car, says Rakuto. One of the lizard men is near the car, and the girls are trying not to make a sound. Suddenly, a spear pierces through the glass, with a severed head stuck to the end. Damn, that was Kotone's scream. They must have found her. Rakuto, we have no choice. Let's go there, says Nichi. Saitu, are you going there too? Asked Rakuto. It seems to be a lot on his mind. It's normal. Just the two of us, we're used to it, replies Saitu. The lizard men are kidnapping the girls and are ready to kill them. The first lizard man is already shot in the neck. The other lizard men look on. Rakuto lunges at the next one, smashing the poor lizard with his metal pipe. Tatabana, take care of Cotone. If you get the chance, leave us behind. Rakuto is surrounded by 3 lizard men, but he has cover from Nichi, who takes down another one with an arrow. Nichi thinks, damn, I have to catch them off guard, otherwise I'll lose a lot of power in the arrow. But I need to help Rakuto. Rakuto thinks, damn, I didn't know it would go this way. Am I going to die here? One of the soldiers attacks Rakuto. No, I'm not going to die. Rakuto manages to defend himself with the metal pipe, but another one comes at him from behind. Damn it, I don't want to die. Rakuto is hit on the head. Who did that? He sees a blonde boy on top of the building, throwing rocks at the monsters. The boy prepares more stones and starts attacking and confusing the lizard men. Although he doesn't kill the monsters, he destabilizes them enough for Nichi to get off the last shot and kill one more. Suddenly, a white-haired man with an English fist appears. He takes advantage and smashes one of the lizard men with his fists. I don't know who these people are, but now's my chance, says Rakuto, finishing off the last lizard man in front of him by hitting the monster in the neck. I think they've all gone. Finally, says Rakuto. The white-haired man approaches. You really saved my ass. Thank you very much. The girls run up to them. We've finally found survivors, says Sora, excited. Nichi notices that their uniforms match those of their school. We have a lot to discuss, but we need to get out of here now. Blondie says, in that case, come with us. We found a great hiding place. You don't mind, do you, big brother? The guy next to him says nothing. For a moment, I thought we were going to be monster food. Luck comes to those who don't give up. Get in the car, guys, says Iz, as everyone settles into the vehicle. Let's introduce ourselves properly. My name is Iz, from the first year of high school. This here is TAC, third year. And there's our secret base. They arrive at a large, luxurious 5-star motel. The girls are impressed and a little embarrassed. Rakuto observes and comments, it makes sense that there aren't many people during the day, so there wouldn't be many cell phones where the monsters could get out. Rakuto, I understand that, but this place is still strange, says Nichi. Iz quickly clarifies, oh, just to be clear, TAC and I don't have any strange relationship, that's not the point. Anyway, they start exchanging information. Saitu, a little miffed, mutters, sorry if we're not being very sociable. He's a bit stressed. He thinks, for God's sake, I think he's in love with Rakuto. The guy won't stop thinking about him. Saitu explains, speaking of information, I don't have much to go on. I was walking home from school when the monsters started coming out of their cell phones. I was very confident in my speed, but I ended up surrounded. TAC saved me. We found this motel and, if it hadn't been for him, I'd be dead now. Nichi reflects, Yamauka. I've heard of this guy. It seems he's an infamous delinquent, involved in violence and drug trafficking, with connections to the Yakuza. But seeing how he acts, maybe those rumors aren't very well founded. And, in fact, I want to believe that they don't. Iz continues, smartphones are useless now and there are monsters everywhere. We went out to get supplies while we could, and that's how we found you. I have a question. Inside that convenience store, there was something written on the floor warning that the cashier was a monster. Was it you? Asks Nichi. Iz replies, written? No, we didn't, so never mind. By the way, we don't know much, and after a while of explaining everything, you're safe. And besides, Kurigane's phone can be fixed. We can ask someone for help. I'll get straight to the point. What plan do you two have next? I'm not going to force either of you, but if you don't go, we can take you back to school if you want. Sakura, visibly worried, says, I was really forced to come here. All right, I'll go with you, says Tak, making up his mind. Takes, are you really going? Asks Iz. I won't hold you back, but I'll be a wall of flesh for you. If you come with us, you'll be super helpful, says Iz. Of course I'm coming with you. I'm a man too. I feel like I have to do something. Looking at the result, it's a good thing we stopped at that convenience, says Tak. Iz agrees. Indeed. But your plan, to be honest, I thought was a bit reckless. Many people have died near that area, and the number of monsters is high. Going in without a plan is a sure way to end up dead. Where is safe and where is dangerous, we need to know that first. Safety should be the top priority. Sakura gets nervous. You're completely right. I think we planned in a bit of a hurry. No one here wants to die, so we'll leave the details of the plan to you. I'm a soldier. Use me as you wish. Of course, we'll collect ideas to make our plan, says Iz. Sai too, in the corner, is visibly annoyed, thinking, this guy is too boring. He can just kill me. In the next scene, it is explained that after this, they made several trips to check out the situation in the areas, determining which were safe and which were not, and worked out a safe route between the school, the motel, and the points of interest. They fought several times along the way, but, working together, they managed to deal with the situations. Several days later, the car is parked at a new location. We're finally here, says Iz. It took a lot of work to get here, but there was no need to rush in this situation. If we'd rushed, we could have become monster food. Yeah, we're here. It feels like ages since I've been here, says Sakura. Easy, your legs are shaking. Better stay in the car, says Tak. No, of course not. I'm excited, replies Easy. Sao, still irritated, warns, everyone beware. The real challenge begins now. From now on, the difficulty will be real. Let's go.